بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن سهلا إذا شئت. آمين. Okay, so we Alhamdulillah have completed basically just Surah Al-Fajr, the different points that I had mentioned on that document, the study guide Google Doc that I shared with the brothers. So we finished all of Surah Al-Fajr. We are on Surah Al-Balad. We discussed what is the central verse which encapsulates this entire surah, which pretty much has the entire surah mushtamal in it. And we had said that that is verse number. Let me find the verse number. Mm, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. This is ayah number 10. Now, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ is, it means that we have shown him the two paths that, we have showed mankind the two different paths that he could take. And Najd, it's not just any path. It's not just like a walk in the park type of street that a person can go down. Rather, it's too difficult. It's a difficult path. So Allah Ta'ala is saying that insan has a choice between the difficult path of having iman and doing good deeds and bearing patience and making sure that they're continuous on their good deeds and continually staying away from bad deeds. And of course, that's a difficult thing to do. And uh, on the flip side, you have the difficult path of kufr. There's a difficult path of hardship that's going to come with disbelief and doing ma'asiyah. And of course, at the end of that path is the greatest, the most painful difficulty, which is, of course, Jahannam. هَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. So it shows both sides of the coin, and that's what this surah is talking about. Those individuals who are, as we can see towards the end of the surah, Allah Ta'ala talks about the people who are doing like humanitarian efforts specifically, and they're doing good deeds. ثُمَّ كَانَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْمَرْحَمَةِ. These are the people that are doing the good deeds. These are the people that have taken the difficult path of doing good. And then he talks about أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْمَكْرِ أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. And then you have وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا هُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ عَلَيْهِمْ نَارٌ مُؤْصَدَةٌ. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا هُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ. Then those people who disbelieve in our signs, those are the people that are wrong. Those are the people that are going to be in the hellfire. So this ayah number 10 encapsulates the whole surah. The next point was the slavery in Islam discussion. Um, uh, as I had told our beloved brother that is in the call right now, I didn't say exactly like this, but I'll say it like this for the recording. I didn't exactly have that much time to prepare today, unfortunately. So let me just skip some of these larger discussions, and maybe we can come back to them on on Monday, inshallah. So let me highlight some of the ones that I feel like we can skip. So right now we'll move on to slavery in Islam. Inshallah, we could probably talk about on Monday, transgenderism discussion and the whole LGBTQ stuff. Actually, it was basically just the T's, transgenderism discussion in Surah Al-Layl will probably is a longer discussion too that we'll probably get to today, but we'll discuss on Monday. Okay, so but as for what can we discuss now is Surah Al-Shams. So the couple of points that we had in Surah Al-Shams, and point number one was what are the ha damirs referring to at the end of these first couple of ayat. Now, I was under the impression, I wrongfully was under the impression that they were actually referring to. Okay, so let's just take this one step back. Is that a damir has to have a marja? That's the rule. The damir, a pronoun, has to have an actual noun that it's referring to. You can't just start a conversation by saying, "Bro, he," unless you can't start a conversation by just saying that, "Oh, he is courageous." He is courageous. If that because that person doesn't know who you're referring to. If obviously if you're in the setting of like, hey, there's something just sick just happens in front of you. Some guy just saves a kid from getting hit by a car, and you're like, man, he's courageous. Obviously, that's that's understood who that he is referring to. However, if you're trying to talk about like, you go up to your friend and one thing that we should be doing is dhikr salihin, we should be remembering the pious, and a person says, man, Mufti Azim is such a well speaker, he is courageous. Okay, so then now that he is of course referring to Mufti Azim, Mufti Sab. Okay, so then that's the rule. The damir has to refer to the marja. Now, let me get back to my original point was that I was always under the impression that the damirs in these first couple of verses, والشمس وضحاها, so that وضحاها, that last ha at the end of the verse, والقمر إذا تلاها, والنهار إذا جلاها, والليل إذا يغشاها. I always thought these has were referring to their each respective verse. So I thought that the ha was this is just like it just makes no sense, but I don't know why. So I don't know why I thought it. But what's happening here is that all of these has damir at the end of these first four verses are referring to washamsi. They're referring to the sun. So washamsi or duhaha. That Allah Ta'ala is taking an oath by the sun. Washamsi, the waw for qasam. That's why it's in. Oh no. Why did this file close? Give me one sec. Sorry. Sorry for the delay. Okay, so I just got it back. Open up. Shamsi uduhaha. So by the sun and its radiance. Now, what is the it? What's this pronoun referring to? It's referring to the sun's radiance, of course. Great. And then you have وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, and by the moon when it follows it, right? And what is that it again in this verse? It's also referring to the sun when it follows the sun. Some of and the different opinions regarding what the Mufassirun have said that that means we discussed in class. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا, and by the daylight when it unveils it, or by the daytime it unveils the what? It unveils the sun. So that's what the ha again is referring to. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا, and by the night when it covers it. Covers what? Covers the sun. So the ha damir in these first four verses is referring to the washamsi, the shams. That's so that it's the marja of these damirs, as we said, is shams. The marja is shams. Okay, the second point of on the document was where'd it go? Ayahs 5 to 7, what type of ma is this? So there's two answers. There was two opinions regarding what type of ma this is. Let me just open it up in the seal real quick. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Okay, so we have والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها. What type of ma is this? What is the meaning of ma over here? So I believe I can't find it right now, but it's either بمعنى من, that's the first one, or it's in the meaning of ma masdariya. So what does this mean? So wasama'i wa ma banaha. If you take if I remember correctly, the majority opinion of saying that it's in the meaning of man, that Allah Ta'ala is saying that wasama'i wa man banaha. Allah Ta'ala is saying that here, actually let me just find the ibara. اوكي والسماء وما بناها قيل انما في قوله وما بناها وما طحاها وما سواها موصولة بمعنى من، والمراد الله تعالى. وقيل انها مصدرية كأنه قال والسماء وبنيانها. Okay, so Allah Ta'ala is saying that. Okay, so you say ومن بناها, Allah Ta'ala is Allah Ta'ala is saying that um he's attributing this magnificent creation of the sky to himself and by the one who created it. Okay, and if you say well, ma banaha is ma masdariya, that's the second opinion as we said, and then so so that would mean that he's taking an oath on the magnificence of its creation. So by the sky and its amazing creation, bunyaniha. والأرض وما طحاها. It'd be like saying it could. The two opinions would be, for example, by the earth and its laying out. I guess we could translate it as والأرض وما طحاها, and it's and by the earth and the one who has spread it, or that would be ومن بناها, and by or for the masdariya it would be, and Allah Ta'ala is taking an oath by the earth and it's the miraculous and amazing feature that it's flat for us from our perspective, yani. Okay, that was point number three. Inshallah, that makes sense. And then, okay, now which prophet was sent to Thamud? What is his story? So we have it mentioned, it's referenced here at the end of the surah. Allah Ta'ala talks about how he كذبت ثمود بطغواها. Allah Ta'ala talks about how he destroyed the people of Thamud due to all their sins that they would do. So the prophet that was sent to the people of Thamud was Salih alayhi salam. I'm not sure if you guys were able to cover his story in Qasas al-Nabiyyin, but pretty much the shortened version of the story goes that Salih alayhi salam was basically like he was the cream of the crop. People looked at him, they understood that, hey, this is our next like our next leader. This is who we look up to. This is a person who is excelling in all like physical and inner qualities. He's a genius. He's he, right. He was great. He was amazing. He was awesome, and people really looked up to him. So and then what ended up happening was that when he started giving when Allah Ta'ala commanded him for to propagate Tawheed and to teach the people about the oneness of Allah Ta'ala, they would say things that basically would show their disgust and how they were let down, quote unquote. That we thought that you were going to be like our next leader after our leaders pass away. We wanted you to represent us. We wanted you to we wanted to lean on you, but you're gonna start talking about Allah Ta'ala and how He's one and stuff. We don't really know anymore. Okay, so that was their attitude. And then of course what's being referenced here in the surah is that they asked him out of arrogance, not even genuinely, they asked him produce this specific miracle. And that specific miracle was that they asked him, make a pregnant she camel come out of this boulder. Okay, that's what they told him to do, and they said that if you do it, we'll believe in you. Well, he ended up doing it. Allah Ta'ala allowed this miracle to manifest at his hands, and some people accepted, most people did not accept. Now, on top of that, this specific tughyan that's being talked about here is that فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم. That this she camel, which they asked for, this miracle of Allah Ta'ala that they themselves had asked for, what ended up happening? They ended up having a sort of disdain, disgust for it. So they ended up killing it, and even فعقروها, they hamstrung it. Like they pretty much tortured this animal, and they cut it at its joints, in its knees and at its ankles so that it couldn't move anymore, and then it ended up murdering the animal. So what did Allah Ta'ala do? فَدَمْدَمَ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّهُم بِذَنبِهِمْ فَسَوَّاهَا وَلَا يَخَافُ عُقْبَاهَا. And then Allah Ta'ala he rained down the punishment upon them wave after wave. And وَلَا يَخَافُ عُقْبَاهَا, Allah Ta'ala doesn't fear any revenge that any party can take against him. Okay, so that is the story of Salih alayhi salam. I don't. I find myself saying story a lot. I don't really like the connotation of that word. We kind of make it seem like. I apologize for my behalf, but it kind of makes it seem that it's like like a Sunday school thing. That it's just like a little fairy tale or like a fable that that we should just take a lesson from. But this might not have happened. Almost kind type of connotation that comes when we say story. So I apologize for that. But this is, of course, Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. Of course, it took place. It happened. It's a part of it's a part of history. It's a part of our history specifically, and we should At the same time, we shouldn't just think that these are just like simple stories. This is what Allah Ta'ala has filled throughout the Quran with. He mentions how many different stories about Musa alayhi salam, specifically mentioned the most in the Quran out of all the other prophets. He mentions the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, all these different prophets, Nuh alayhi salam. These are things that we can, if we just actually, in reality, if we just ponder over these stories, quote unquote, then that's enough for our najat. You know, a person could understand that if a person like just sits there and ponders over these different ayat of the Quran which mention the legacies of the Prophet, then that's enough for our najat. The person will be able to learn a lot, and a person will be gaining a lot of guidance if we could just bring these incidents, maybe it might be a better word, into our life. If we could like fully understand the reality of what's going on, the power of Allah Ta'ala that's at display, then that could do a lot for a person's iman. Like think about it. فَدَمْدَمَ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّهُم بِذَنبِهِمْ فَسَوَّاهَا. Allah Ta'ala is just saying that like his power is beyond our imagination. Allah Ta'ala could absolutely decimate us. You know, we like I mean, none of us have done anything bad as, just killing a she camel and and hamstringing it. So, but Allah Taala still has that ability to um, take away these different ni'mas that He has given us when we use them in the improper way. How many times have we misused our tongue? How many times have we misused our hands and our eyes? But it's not like Allah Ta'ala is just like sending down a lightning bolt to take away these ni'mas and like frying our tongue every single time we lie or say something inappropriate, right? So that's one thing. We can learn about the power of Allah Ta'ala. وَلَا يَخَافُ عُقْبَاهَا. Allah Ta'ala doesn't fear any revenge that a people might take against him because of what he did to them. That's powerful. Like that's very, very powerful. So these are ayahs that we should definitely be reflecting over. I don't know where that tangent came from. Anyway, Surah Al-Layl. So like I said, we'll skip the transgenderism discussion. Ayah number 18. Bullet point number 2 that I am reading off of is ayah number 18 of Surah Al-Layl is الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى. So the ending, basically the ending of the surah. Um, وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. Actually, sorry. So I wrote ayah number 18 on the document. It should be ayah number 17. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. Al-Atqa. Um, and the most atqa. This is like akbar. This is ism tafdil. It's talking about the pinnacle, right? The greatest one, the the individual who has this quality the most of taqwa. وَسَيُجَنَّبُهَا الْأَتْقَى. He shall be saved from the hellfire. So the most this individual who has taqwa to this utmost degree, he shall be saved from the fire. الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى. Some more sifat of him, some more qualities and characteristics of this individual is that he gives his money and he spends in charity for the sake of Allah Ta'ala, and he purifies himself. وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى. and وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى, and confers no favor upon anyone for any recompense. إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى, except seeking the face of his Lord, يعني he's seeking the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. ولسوف يرضى. Okay, so we have just a couple of points here to go over. So now, who is this Al-Atqa that's being referred to in this verse? Pretty much all the Mufassirun, if I remember correctly, say that it is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala an. Al-Atqa here is referring to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Um, Maybe some homework that you guys could have is figuring out what if there's any other verses in which there is most scholars agree that this is referring to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So that might be another thing I should add to the document, inshallah. So most scholars say that al-atqa in this verse of this individual who keeps spending his wealth in the path of Allah Ta'ala is referring to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And the last bullet point that we had for Surah Al-Shams in ayah number 21, the final verse of the surah, is وَلَا سَوْفَ يَرْضَى. The question that was asked in class, which I decided to put on the doc as well, is that what is the point of this Actually, no. The question was, why use sofa and not seen? As you guys know from your, I'm not exactly sure which sarf book that you guys did first. Did you guys ever do the like the let's say 50, 60, 70 page book by Sheikh Hussein Abdul Sattar, the fi'l book? It just has the word fi'l in big letters on the cover of it. It's like a tannish color. Yes, no? Okay. In there we learned that in if you want to give the meaning of the future for a verb, you could either add seen of like you could say sayafal or you could say sofa yafal. So now sayafal means that he will do in the near future, and then sofa means that he'll do it in the later future. So wala sofa yarda. Now the question was, what exactly did I write over there? Was that why is the particle sofa used and not seen? So when I had looked this up, it is that it is not possible to have the lam of ta'kid with when there's a seen mentioned for the verb. So you cannot say what. So the lam is here is for ta'kid, is for emphasis. So you cannot say wala sayarda, wala sayarda. No, you just it's just you just can't do that. So if so this in order to be able to bring the lam, the word sofa would have to be used. Therefore, you have this construct in front of us. Wala sofa yarda. Zamakhshari, he mentioned something pretty profound here, which I am forgetting. I believe what he had said was that this shows, this ta'kid as well as this whole sofa construct shows that the impossibility of him not getting this reward. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, as we said, most agree that he's being referred to over here. He's the one who is giving his wealth in the path of Allah Ta'ala, and he's no one can ever pay him back. And Allah Ta'ala is and he's doing it solely with ikhlas. He's doing it only for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala is saying that what's his reward? وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. Most surely, in the future, he's going to be pleased. Yani, Allah Ta'ala is going to take care of him. Allah Ta'ala is going to make sure he's happy, yeah, in Jannah and everything, right? Yeah, basically, first it means his admittance into Jannah, and on top of that, it's all the different blessings and stuff of Jannah. وَلَا سَوْفَ يَرْضَى. So وَلَا سَوْفَ يَرْضَى, Zamakhshari mentions that this is showing the impossibility of the opposite even happening. So this is like Allah Ta'ala giving him that stamp almost of his admittance into Jannah and being able to enjoy its ni'am and its luxuries. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So that, like, again, just also highlights the amazing status of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Okay, Surah Duha, our bullet points here is what is the sabab nuzul or the reason slash cause of revelation of this surah? There was a couple, I believe Mufti Shafi had mentioned. Let me open that up real quick. Okay, occasion of revelation. Bukhari, Muslim, and Tirmidhi have narrated from Sayyidina Jundub radiallahu ta'ala anh, that once a finger of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was wounded and started bleeding. And he said that, uh, I'll read the English. You are merely a finger that is bleeding. What does it matter if you are hurt? It all happened in Allah Ta'ala's cause. So Sayyidina Jundub, subhanAllah, Sayyidina Jundub radiallahu ta'ala an narrated this incident and said that revelation of the Quran to the Holy Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to a halt and that Jibreel alayhi salam had stopped coming to him for a while. The disbelievers, they taunted saying that um, your Lord has, O Muhammad, your Lord has forsaken you and is displeased with you. Your Lord has forsaken you and he is displeased with you. That's what they would say to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam when there would be breaks in the wahi. As we know that sometimes Jibreel alayhi salam there will be periods, extended periods of time, even especially in the beginning when he became a prophet, that there be an extended period of time in which Jibreel alayhi salam would not come for a while. Okay. Surah Al-Duha was revealed on this occasion in which it consoles Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and tells him that, they're saying that your Lord has forsaken you and he's displeased with you. Rather, Allah Ta'ala has not forsaken you and he is not displeased with you. And according to the narration of Bukhari, Sayyidina Jundub radiallahu ta'ala an, um, says that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was unable to wake up for a few nights for the tahajjud prayer due to an illness. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sick, so he wasn't able to wake up for tahajjud. Um, in this narration, there is no mention of delay in revelation. In Tirmidhi's narration, there is mention about the delay in revelation, but no mention about his inability to wake up for tahajjud prayer. So these reports are not conflicting. Okay, you know what? Let's just I don't want to read this whole thing, but pretty much what happened is that there was a break in the wahi that the Jibreel alayhi salam just hadn't come for a while, and then people started taunting Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, saying that Allah Ta'ala has abandoned you, He's forsaken you, and He's angry with you. He's not us. So this surah is in response to that. Um, sorry. ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. That Allah Ta'ala has not abandoned you, nor is He displeased with you. That's ayah number 3. Okay, so now let me go back to that thing. Okay. Ayah number 7. What does dal mean here? Were prophets involved in polytheism before prophethood? So let me look at ayah number 7 real quick. Allah Ta'ala says, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. We found you, normally we translate dal as astray, misguided. Fahada, there, and then we guided you. So Allah Ta'ala, he lists out the different blessings that He has given Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One of them is mentioned in ayah number 7, as we could see that we found you dal, and then we guided you. Okay, so now the ishkal, the objection that can be made here is that this is a proof that prophets were possibly misguided and they were polytheists and they were involved in shirk before their prophethood. However, we know from our books of Aqidah and Kalam and sorts of things that this is not the case. Let me just read from Bayjuri. Let's see what we say first, and then we could um, talk about the response to, like, how do we understand this then. I opened it up. One sec. Sorry. It's, it's all this is in the broader discussion of Ismatul Anbiya, the infallibility of the prophethood, the fact that of prophets, because of their prophethood, that these individuals cannot logically perform any sins. These and then there's some discussion regarding that as well, some very very minute details, basically not nothing major, don't worry. And one of those things that is it possible for the prophets to be involved in polytheism and shirk before even receiving their nubuwa and al itlaq? Everyone says that no, that's not possible. They cannot be involved with that. So now, how do we understand this? This ayah seems to be giving the impression that prophets can be involved in polytheism and in all these sorts of different deviant beliefs before their prophethood. Now, Ibn Juzay, he mentions, where is it? فيه ستة أقوال سبحان الله, 6 opinions. ووجدك ضالا عن معرفة الشريعة فهداك إليها. We this doesn't necessarily, to say ضالا doesn't necessarily mean to have the wrong belief. It could mean that your practice just wasn't exactly what Allah Ta'ala wanted. Perhaps maybe we could say it like that. Let me just translate it first. We found you um, unaware of the minute details regarding the practice of Sharia. So, for example, no one could just like sit down and be like, "Hey, man, one like it's like 1:30 right now. I should probably start praying every single day 4 rakats. Yeah, 4 rakats seems right. Like you're not gonna be logically, but you just be able to sit down and just be able to like deduce that out of like thin air, right? Those are things that Allah Ta'ala would have to inform someone that this is a part of the law, this is a part of the Sharia, therefore you have to practice it. So what this first opinion is saying that وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى, you were unaware of these different like the fiqh. you're unaware of all these different shari'i rulings. Now we are informing you of them. So that's the first opinion. The second opinion, الثاني وجدك في قوم ضلال, that we found you amongst a people that were ضال, and we guided you. And we guided you out of them, and we showed you what we have to offer really. الثالث وجدك ضال عن الهجرة فهداك إليها وهذا ضعيف. Okay, we can skip that one then. So it's a weaker opinion. وجدك خالد الذكر لا تعرف فهذا الناس إليك وهداهم بك وهذا بعيد عن المقصود. Okay, forget that one as well. He said that this is even worse than the last one basically. الخامس أنه من الضلال عن الطريق وذلك أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم ضل في بعض الشعاب مكة. Another opinion, interestingly, is that there were some points in the childhood of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he actually got lost from like his mom or his wet nurse or someone. So then Allah Ta'ala guided him back to his family. Um, and the lastly we have this was pretty crazy. Actually, I was listening to some kids bar Mukhtar, like Bar Sabak or something, and this ayah came up, and I thought of this sixth opinion that Ibn Juzay is mentioning is that if we look at another place in which the word dal is used, it's in the story of Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. And the way it's used in Surah Yusuf alayhi salam story is that his father Yaqub alayhi salam was crying so much. You guys are familiar with the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, where he's lost as a child. He doesn't see his family for decades and whatnot. Then he becomes a king or the wazir, and he's in charge of like the he's like the second, he's like the treasurer of the state. He's in charge of the wealth and whatnot. Anyways, um, once he realized that, hey, he has access to his family again and stuff. And one thing that happens is that he sends his shirt with his scent on it, and he tells like the messenger or the delivery person to please take this shirt to my father. Now, what happens is that when this messenger is getting close to the house of Yaqub alayhi salam, Yaqub alayhi salam, having gone blind from his excessive crying, he like looks up and he's like, "Yeah, I could smell the scent of my beloved Yusuf. I could smell the scent of my beloved son." So what did his sons say, the other sons that were with him? He said, "Tallahi innaka lafi dalalika al-qadim." You're in your old state of delusion. You're in your old dalal that you've been going on about this quote unquote nonsense for how many decades now? Like he's dead. Like that. I mean, that's what everyone thought, right? He's not coming back home, pops. He's Okay, sorry, that was a bit inappropriate to refer to Abu Ali, so I don't like that. Astaghfirullah. Um, but you guys get what I'm saying. Allah إنك لفي ضلالك القديم. So my point is, what does I have to do with this ayah that we're referring to, Surah Duha? Dalal here is actually what? What is this delusion that Yaqub alayhi salam has? It's his love. Dal here is actually referring to love. You're in your old love, this love that has completely deluded you from accepting the fact that your son has passed away, which, like we said, is not the case. So now, uh, Ibn Juzay's, I believe his teacher, he says that we have كان يقول شيخنا الأستاذ أبو جعفر ibn الزبير, his teacher, he said that this was his interpretation, if I'm understanding this correctly. And he says that dal in these situations is referring to um, actually it's not anything bad as we might normally think it. It's actually in a love. وَوَجَدَكَ مَحَبًّا لِلَّهِ. We found you deeply in love with Allah Ta'ala فَهَدَاكَ إِلَيْهِ. So we guided you towards the correct path. We increased you in your hidayat. Subhanallah. This is very interesting. Okay, that was the sixth opinion. And those are I think I only mentioned four though, because two of them he himself says that they're not very strong opinions. So I left those out. But okay, as for the larger discussion of can prophets be involved in polytheism and in all sorts of these in polytheism before the nubuwah, then I'm just trying to find an ibada for you guys. I feel like I remember reading it. Oh, here it is. In Dawl Ma'ali, Badu Amali. إن الأنبياء لفي أمان عن العصيان عمدا أو وانعزال. العصيان مخالفة الأمر قصدا بخلاف الزلة فإنه مخالفة الأمر سهوا. The Anbiya, they are the prophets, they are saved, they are free from making any. They are free from intentionally going against the command of Allah Ta'ala. They will never do that. They will never intentionally go against the command of Allah Ta'ala. فالأنبياء عليهم السلام معصومون عن أنواع الكفر مطلقا قبل البعثة وبعدها بالإجماع. Okay? He says بالإجماع, which is very, very strong usage. He says that all the prophets عليهم الصلاة والسلام, they are معصوم معصومون عن أنواع الكفر مطلقا, from all types of shirk, disbelief, polytheism, and or any other deviant belief that you could think of. They are saved from that. Allah Ta'ala has not allowed even like an ounce of that to enter their hearts and minds. قبل البعثة وبعدها, before the prophethood and of course after the prophethood as well. بالإجماع, by unanimous consensus. Okay, that's very, very strong. بالإجماع. We'll get that in again, and then there's more details about this discussion, which we don't need to go into right now. So that's the understanding of ayah number 7. What is the sunnah method of takbir from this surah to the end of the surah? Okay, so there's a couple of different opinions. For those of you who don't, I think when I had mentioned this was very new to everyone, so that's why I felt it worthy to mention again, is that let me mention what our Ustad mentions, is that at the end of Surah Al-Duha, what we should, it's a sunnah. I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's a sunnah mu'akkada. It's a sunnah ghayr mu'akkada, I believe, but I could double check that inshallah. Is that what we should be doing from basically after Surah Al-Duha, before we start Surah Al-Inshirah, is that we should be doing the sunnah method of takbir at the beginning of every single surah from here all the way until the end of the Quran, until Surah Al-Nas. So now, what am I talking about? After finishing Surah Al-Duha, the final ayah, of course, is we say وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Now we do the takbir. We say لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك. This is, first of all, it's outside of Salah. We don't do this in Salah. And this is one we're like continuously reading from like Duha to Alam Nashrah, or any of the surahs at the end. This would be good to share with my hifz kid. I don't know why I don't do that. Okay, so let's say let me give a few scenarios so that we can just get a better understanding of how and when to do it. A person is reading they have to read what their 1 juz, 3 juz a day, or whatever their daily wird is. And today is they have to do it through the 30th juz. So now they're finishing up their khatam. MashaAllah. And this person starts all the way from Surah Naba, and he's reading quickly, and he reads Surah Naba, Surah Nazi'at, and okay, he goes Kiki Abasa all the way, and he reaches Surah Fajr, he reads Surah Fajr, Surah Balad, Surah Shams, Surah Layl, and then he reads Surah Duha. Now what is he going to do? He says, he's been reading, saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Of course, at the beginning of every surah, we have to do that. And then once he finishes Surah Duha, he's going to say, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك. Okay, so he's gonna finish the surah Duha, he's gonna say the takbir, then he says Basmala. Now after he finishes surah Alam Nashrah as well, we say فإذا فرغت فانصب. He's about to finish up surah Alam Nashrah. وإلى ربك فارغب لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون. Okay, so that's the method of doing the takbir. A person is, they read the ta'awudh way back at when they were starting the actual recitation at Surah Amma Yatasa'alun, Surah An-Naba, the beginning of 30th juz. And now what are they doing? They finish the surah and they're gonna do the takbir, then the basmala. Okay, not the basmala, then takbir. Another situation that a person can be in is that, let's say they're just they're actually starting from Surah Duha, they're actually starting from Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak. Let's say they were in the same boat as the guy who has to read his one para, But then when they started reading, they had to take a break. They had to go use the bathroom after Surah Duha. So they go use the bathroom, they come back, and now they have to do the ta'awud and basmala again. So now what should a person do? First they do ta'awud, then they do the takbir, then they do basmala. So a person, now they're actually starting their recitation, and they say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك. Okay, and then do the same thing. After finishing ألم نشرح, they're going to do it takbir, then basmala. Let's say a person starting from like إنا أعطينا, okay, which is way in the middle. It's not at the way in the beginning over here, where this is the first surah that we're going to do it for. Additionally, same thing. They could just do أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر. Again, we do not do this in Salah. So this is just something very new that I think I had mentioned. I wasn't, maybe perhaps someone was aware of it and they didn't mention anything, but this is something that if we could do it, we should do it. I think in like the Hashia of Jalalain, there was some aqwal of, ooh, I'm forgetting who. There was some like quotations of the Salaf basically saying that a person should most definitely be taking out their time to do this and that they should be habitual on it. A person wouldn't be sinful for not doing it, but of course, it's something that's definitely encouraged to do. Okay, that was a bit of a mouthful. Give me one sec. Next point is, okay, what is the sunnah method of takbir from this surah to the end of the surah? We just finished that up. Surah Alam Nashrah. The next surah will probably be our final surah. Um, Ayah number one. What are the different opinions that the Mufassirun have mentioned that this ayah could refer to, and what is the preferred opinion? Um, this is a bit of a trick question, if I remember correctly, because I think in all the other times, there's probably at least like two or three times before in the beginning of this document, from the beginning of this document, in which I had said the same exact thing. That, like, let's say for Surah Fajr, I said, hey, ayah number whatever, what are the different opinions regarding it? What's the preferred opinion? But the thing is, in all the previous examples, I believe all the opinions are legitimate, and only in this question of Alam Nashrah, there's actually only one legit opinion, and the other one is actually not a very strong opinion. So that's something to be aware of. That that we should be aware of which where are the legitimate ikhtilaf, where is like the legitimate um, evidence backed differences of opinion amongst scholars, and what are even the differences of opinions that are illegitimate, and that we should be aware of those as well, so that if a person does, like what Yani, like let's say someone was to mention something about an ayah, and you like, and a person could be like, "Hey, I wasn't aware of that. That's cool. It's good to know that there's another valid opinion regarding a certain verse." Well, that might not be the case and that's why we should be aware of the invalid, popular invalid, um, interpretations of verses as well. Okay. um, what does he say here? What are the difference of opinions regarding ألم نشرح لك صدرك؟ هذا توقيف معناه إثبات شرح صدره وتعديل ما ذكر بعده من النعم. وشرح صدره صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم هو اتساعه لتحصيل العلم وتنويره بالحكمة والمعرفة. All right, don't ask me about the details, because this is like some high level, like this is like prophetic stuff about how Allah Ta'ala is dealing with his messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so like I don't, I know I got 7 years on y'all, or 6+ years on you guys, but yeah, like even I'm not gonna be stupid enough to open my mouth and start talking about something I have no idea what this is, what the details of what's being referred to here. Sharh, so what does it mean? Alam nashrah laka sadrak. Did we not expand your chest? Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? Expand his chest. He says, Ibn Juzay, هو اتساعه لتحصيل العلم, and we'll leave it at this, is that it's his ability to comprehend and soak up this prophetic knowledge, in this prophetic light that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is now being infused with because of his gaining prophethood. وتنويره بالحكمة والمعرفة, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam being enlightened with wisdom and ma'rifa and recognition. Now, a person could ask, what is this? What is this wisdom that he gained? What is this? What did he recognize? And of course, like Allah Taala, and the new like in terms of like the nuances, dude, I cannot tell you. I'm sorry. وقيل هو شق جبريل لصدره في صغره. Um, a person might think, hey, when his chest was expanded, I remember a story from my that I heard from my childhood is that when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a young boy, Jibril alayhi salam came and or the angels came and they literally split open his chest, and then his foster brother ran back into the house and told his the wet nurse Halima Saadiya and that of what's going on. And obviously, the whole family freaked out and they ran outside and they just saw him sitting there. But as you guys are aware, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a child, the angels came, they cleaned him, they opened his chest up, they cleaned it with Zamzam, they took out a certain black part and they disposed of it. So that's, and I believe this is an illegitimate opinion. Man, let me just double check what Mufti Shafi says. Oh yeah, I think I'm mistaken, possibly, that it might not be illegitimate. These opinions might not be illegitimate opinions, but they could just be weaker opinions. So let me look into this a little bit more. Where do I feel like I just remember somewhere reading that they weren't they were like extremely weak opinions, but it seems like Mufti Saab is saying that. Yeah, I'll look into that a little bit more. However, the point that I mentioned though regarding that it's still good to be aware of what opinions are legitimate and illegitimate, although hypocritical now. But it's still that's still a valid point, inshallah, that we should be aware of those things, inshallah. Okay, هو شق صدره جبريل لصدره في صغره أو في وقت الإسراء, or when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the Isra and Mi'raj, this could have taken place. حين أخرج when what? Okay, let's just pause there. Okay, that's okay. So the main opinion is that the Sharh al-Sadr is talking about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam being inspired and taught and enlightened um, of uh, this prophetic knowledge and this great recognition that he gained of Allah Ta'ala. Okay, that's what are the different opinions, what is preferred. How is this verse manifest today? Verse number 4, how is this verse manifest today? What is verse number 4? وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And okay, we have a minute left. This is an easy one. So I'll just mention it quickly. Mufti Saab mentioned something beautiful over here, so let's read what he says. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. And we have raised for you, O Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, your name, your remembrance. Yani, we have exalted your status. We have made you someone who is well respected. The meaning of raising the name of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is that what now? How is this manifest? Is that this is a bit crazy? Is that his blessed name is remembered together with the name of Allah Taala in all symbols of Islam. Okay, who is more noble and more honorable than Allah Taala? Right? No one. So now Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's always mentioned with Allah Ta'ala. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, right? We always mention when we mention when we testify that Allah Ta'ala is one, we also testify that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. When we give the adhan or give the iqama, we say we talk about the greatness of Allah Ta'ala, we talk about the amazing nature of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how we respect him and love him. And every time we give a khutbah, every time we start a bayan, it's always that, that like that like uh, default like hamd and salat that we always start our khutbahs with. Like, but still, This is where the mention and the remembrance of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being absolutely exemplified, and it's always paired with the mention of Allah Taala. This is a huge honor. No sensible. He mentions that no sensible person utters the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's name without respect and honor, even though he may not even be a Muslim. Okay, and we'll stop there. It's 9 o'clock, so that's our time. Unless there's any questions, we can stop here, inshallah. سبحان الله بحمدي سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.